we're going to, that seal's gone. I finally located high horsepower, early 960s, or a 1992 Volvo 960 camshaft. I got two of them from a guy in Edmonton. I believe it's 4-Star Motors. These are hard to find. I paid $240, basically free. Supposed to add 20 horsepower. The 0 to 60 from factory for the two cars is 10 seconds for the late model ones with the low horsepower torque cams, and 8 to 8.6 seconds, I think, for the early model ones. So in theory, this should shave a good amount of time on the 0 to 60. So they got a lot more lift. I think like 2 mil more. But I guess we'll take the valve cover gasket off, which is 46 bolts with no gasket, just sealant. The valve cover came off pretty easily. I just accidentally left one bolt in that I couldn't see, so that's why it was struggling a little bit. But it popped right off. And then, yeah, it actually holds the cams down with the valve cover, which is a crazy design, but makes for an easy removal and reinstall. These were relatively easy to swap over. I measured, it looks like they have about 1.5 to 2 millimeters more of lift. And I just swapped the cam gears and the seals. This engine was just rebuilt, so I just reused all the seals from the old cams that were in the engine. And just clean up your surface, get all the oil off of there. I used very gently a razor blade to get the high spots off where the old sealant was. Then you just use an anaerobic sealant that I layered all over the valve cover. And then installed the cams with the O-rings. And then just re-torque down all your bolts.
My camera died, but we got the valve cover on. I wrinkle painted it black because I had a spare one. And everything's torqued down. I just need to finish up this and hope it's timed right. Got her going. It was just the, there's a camshaft sensor at the back of this cam, and I just had it 90 degrees the wrong way for some reason. I guess I got mixed up along the way, but it's running. Very nice. I just want to double check that I have the right timing, so I'm going to use this timing gun. Hopefully it can work on a car with coil packs, just to verify that we're totally timed correctly with, you know, running E85 and having it chip and stuff. I want to make sure it's right on the money for maximum power. So I think to make this work, because you have to put a lead on here, so I think you just bridge this in between the coil pack and Bob will be your uncle. It looks like we're off probably 4 millimeters on this one cam, but these cams are adjustable. These cam gears, they move a little bit, so I think we can just loosen it off and crank it over. It's all timed. It was off a tooth. I think it's good. That sucked a lot. I hate doing that. Timing belt on, off, on, off. But I think it's good now. And then we'll just take it for a spin. Maybe we'll time some 0 to 100s and see how much of a difference it made. It's ticking slightly right now. Hopefully that figures itself out. But yeah, we'll see. So I just rebuilt the e-brake again. This cable snapped. It's a brand new cable snapped at the e-brake. I think the pads I got were old stock, faulty or something. I'm not really sure. But I put brand new Brembo pads in, and it bites way harder and way easier. So hopefully it doesn't break. And I can just keep a regular e-brake in there. Got the car up. I'm just gonna redo a few things. This is the shifter here. I'm gonna cut a new plate here and then just center this in the hole. It's not really weird that it's here, but I just want it to be centered and then I'm drop the trans. I have to extend this shift linkage an inch to put it here. Make a better trans mount, replace the motor mounts and the crank position sensor, and then the shift selector seal. So do that and then should be done. Just gotta trace this puppy out. There we go, centered. Stainless plate, little sound deadening underneath it. We'll just put this back together. Ba-dang. Much more centered. So it should sit like there. It's not hooked up to anything, obviously. But that's nicer on the eyes. This is crazy. I just did this whole, pulled the transmission, replaced the seal, did the tranny mounts, whatever. All basically to change the crank position sensor to make it closer to the flex plate. And then I changed it. And while I was replugging in the crank position sensor, I knocked, I guess this didn't have a hose clamp. And I knocked this off with my elbow. And so when I was test driving it, this was technically disconnected. So the hanging idle disappeared, but it just ran really rough. So I thought maybe the crank position sensor was too close. So I'm messing around with that. And then I see this being off. I stick it back on. It starts running exactly the same as before. So crank position sensor was fine. I unplug this and it runs better than it ever has and revs so much better and doesn't have a hanging idle. So whatever this idle error, I don't know what it is, thing, hopefully I can just either delete it or get a new one. But it's, what is it? Just regulates the intake into this intake. I don't know what it is. I gotta Google it. But what are the odds, you know? Big win, also a lot of big loss. Crazy. So to conclude on the cam swap, I definitely lose some low end, but I think it's worth it. Like, I prefer a car with more top end because it's a little more fun to rip around. But between like 4,000 and 6,500 to 7,000, it pulls so much harder. Before, it was just a torque monster where it would just, like, up until 3,500 and then it would kind of teeter off. But with these other cams, it once you hit 4, it's kind of like hitting a VTEC, which is a lot more fun, I think. I think it would shave a little bit of time off of your 0 to 100. It's hard to tell in the video just because of how it was filmed, but I think it's about an 8-second 0 to 100 now with 2 people in the car. Just because if you stay in that 4,000 to 7,000 range, it just pulls a little bit harder. But it's hard to nail all the shifts and get the start right and get an accurate reading every time. But I'm happy with the cams. I wish the car was faster, but I'd love to get it dynoed to see just the difference between stock and all these mods. But at this point, this is all I'm going to do to the car, aside from maybe putting some Brembo brakes on, but it's kind of complete. And now I will be working on the Bertoni. I just ordered the turbo and everything for it, so I'll be doing the engine build and then start that swap, which will be faster and more fun, but more expensive.